5 laps separates one of these 20 women from a place in athletics history. The 10,000 metre final is upon us. The weather is just about perfect. It's overcast, it's cool, and there are a huge number of spectators here in Tracktown, USA. Eilish McColgan, following in glorious footsteps. Her mum Liz won this title just over 30 years ago in Tokyo, and Eilish has had the best season of her career. Could she get herself on the podium? Jess Judd, World Junior Silver over 800 10 years ago. She's now a great exponent of the 5 and 10,000. Kim Kemboy, silver medalist over the 5,000 back in Doha. That is Eletesonbet10ሺ. Silver in this event in Doha. Bronze last year. The world record holder hasn't got a sprint, but can she run the sting out of the fast finishers like Helena Beery? World champion over the 5,000. But can she do the 10? She's never won a global medal at 10,000 metres. She's done everything else. Seifu of Eritrea, 6th in the world juniors a few years ago. Kip Karui, another one of the Kenyans who represents Kazakhstan. Alicia Monson, 7th for the world indoors this year, alongside Natasha Rogers, NCAA champion. 3 Americans in this one. There's Mulati, 6th fastest in the world this year for Ethiopia. And Carissa Svitzer, twice an NCAA champion, over 5,000 metres. She won the trials. She's got a PB in the 1500 of 4 minutes, so she can move if it gets slow and tactical. 2 Ugandans, they're both Commonwealth medalists. Chesang took the gold, Chalanga the bronze. Scott of South Africa, very good distance runner. Looking forward to seeing her. Daniel of Eritrea now. The Olympic champion, the 2nd fastest in history. What kind of form does Sifan Hassan bring to this World Championship? That's the face of concentration. Kushima of Japan. Tei, watch for Tei, sandwiched in between the 2 Japanese athletes, because she ran the 4th fastest time in history over the 5,000 metres just a month or so ago. But all the question marks about Sifan Hassan. She's been magnificent in the last few seasons, but they've had a few problems, and her start to the season has been delayed, and typically she's the very last athlete to line up on that bend. The final of the women's 10,000 metres. Sifan Hassan, if all goes to the form book in the early stages, and it does, will go straight to the back. So much to talk about here, Hannah. Eilish McColgan has gone straight to the front, and maybe if you're looking at this from a European and a British and a Japanese perspective, they can't afford for this to be slow. There are too many in this field who can move very, very well if it gets tight and tactical. But the big question mark here, Hannah, we know Eletesonbet10ሺ is in decent shape. We know we've got the likes of Tai, her compatriot, the 22-year-old, who's in form. We really have no idea where Sifan Hassan is on her kind of own very high standard. That 15:13 in Portland earlier this month doesn't really tell us anything.
No, Sifan Hassan, this is common. She's often sat at the back of these major championships, 10,000s and 5,000s, biding her time, moving through the field. She said that 15:13 was a tempo run. When you read some reports and some comments, they say it looks a bit harder than a tempo run. But she's got so much calibre and class that it's hard to bet against her. But I'm so excited to see Great Britain's Eilish McColgan out in the lead. Her mum won this title way back in 1991. And Eilish has just got better with every season. And I'm not surprised to see this. The only major championship medal she's got is a silver at Europeans. I think she's going to pick up so many over the next few years. But she won that medal at Berlin by front running. And it was only Sifan Hassan that could get back past her. But Eilish is building up a real knack of doing this, just getting to the front of the field and saying, all right, I know what shape I'm in. I'm just going to go and run that. There was a 75 first lap. I was perhaps expecting a tiny bit faster. But Eilish can kick. She's got great 1500 metre pace. She's run 4 dead, 4:01 or so, as has Schweizer, that you mentioned behind her. So Polish can kick, but she would want this to be a really fast-run race. And Japanese aren't shy leading either. Hironaka sat on Eilish's shoulder for nearly 800 metres. Now it is Rika Hironaka of Japan, just moving away to the fore. She is the 5,000-metre national record holder for Japan. A super accomplished athlete. She's 31.30 this season though. So Hironaka could she be in the form that took her to a 7th place in Tokyo. Great couple of laps at the front here, 74 and a 73. She's moving really well. Strongly feel that.
And I think this is a sensible tactic for the likes of Eilish McColgan and Hironaka, because they know, with the best will in the world, they know that they can't match the quicker finishers behind them if it comes down to a big sprint. Their best chance is to run the sting out of as many of these athletes as possible. That is what Eilish McColgan did when she ran that brilliant time, second fastest in the world this year in Hengelo, 30 minutes and 19 seconds. She was absolutely metronomic, and we're pretty much single file in the early stages of this 10,000 metres with Hironaka and Eilish McColgan on the pacemaking duties. Hassan just in the middle of that group, but it's crazy really. The two leaders are looking comfortable in these early stages, and McColgan is in fantastic form this year. She's had 6 races and won 4 of them. But talking about Hassan, how do you try and construct a way to beating somebody who in Doha won the 10,000 and the 1,500 metres? That is an unprecedented range.
She's really burst into the scene in Doha. She was running fantastically well a few years before that. But that range to win the 1,500 and the 10,000, she ran 3:59 for the final 1,500 of the 10,000 metres. And that's no messing about, and I think that's why these athletes have had to change their tactics. They've had to think, I have to try and run the sting out of the likes of Sifan Hassan. And she's sitting way back in that pack at the moment, just chilling out.
Great stuff early on by Hironaka. Now, Fidek has seen his compatriot launch a big throw. What can he do in response here?
Throw from Pavel Fidek. He's chasing that lead of Wojciech Nowicki, 80 metres and 7 centimetres. Pavel Fidek takes the lead, 80 metres 50. Imagine if this man wins his 5th consecutive world title. Talking about impressive performances, Sifan Hassan, certainly someone that's delivered time and time again on the world stage, but I wonder if she's at all aware of the history of Pavel Fidek, who's just trying to make to her inside, moving her way past the hammer cage. Now, Hironaka looks very comfortable out in the lead. I do love the attitude and the application of the Japanese athletes through these rounds. I mean, no rounds here with 3,000 metres, but you often see them in the 1,500 and the 5K just kind of sticking to task and making it a fast race. Hironaka trying to get herself another top 8 global finish to back up her 7th place from that home Olympics last year.
Interesting to see the 3 Ethiopians running very, very close together. That's the view of Hironaka, top 8 last year. I just get the feeling it's slowed a fraction here. They've bunched up once again, and that's the thing. If you go to the front with a field this good behind you, you've got to have the courage of your convictions. 6:08 at 2,000 metres. So it's a decent pace. What are they? They're around about 30:50.
That's really nice running from Hironaka. I think Eilish would be very relieved. She would have perhaps had to do this herself if she had wanted a decent pace, but that's going to really help. And Helena Beery, she's won 5K titles here, trying to win a 10K title. Henriksen of Norway, he's not won any of these major championships yet because he's got to deal with the likes of Nowicki and Fidek, but that looked good. Was it a valid throw? Because that looked long. See, Henriksen does go into the lead, 80 metres and 87. Everybody is trying to spoil the Polish party. Norwegian Ivan Henriksen doing it at the moment in the lead.
There's been a noticeable increase in the tempo here from Hironaka. On the previous lap they were beginning to bunch, but I think she has increased the pace here, knowing that she needs to try and spread them out. As Hannah mentioned, Obiri looking very comfortable in third place. It's Chepkurui in fourth, the Kenyan who now represents Kazakhstan. No move yet from the three Ethiopians. Remember, Eletesonbet10ሺ is the world record holder, a medal in Doha and a medal in Tokyo, but the pattern that tends to unfold when she and Hassan are on top form is that Gide hits the front, puts in a savage section of the race and gets rid of everybody apart from Sifan Hassan. There is Gide, our directors and camera crew doing a great job here. Gide, one of the favourites here, but can she, towards the middle or back end of this race, try and change the tactics? And is this one of her best chances to beat Sifan Hassan? Is there a question mark over the brilliant Dutch woman who is just towards the back of that group? She's just out of picture on the left, in front of the bobbing distinctive head of Jess Judd of Great Britain. There's Hassan, just coming round on left of picture now.
Hironaka is moving at a decent pace, but for me, Eletesonbet10ሺ, she's got to, I feel like she's got to go soon with that 62.52 half marathon world record. Her strength is unrivaled in this field. She's not looked untouchable by any sort of stretch of the imagination this track season. You kind of get the feeling when you've got that in your locker, surely you want to push on early doors. And I don't have the patience for 10,000 metres. That's probably why I never raced it. I wouldn't be able to hold my nerve. Because for Gide, I'd say if Hassan's off the pace, you win now and you've got a jump on her. That's it. She can't close a gap if you drop the hammer and you start running 70s, 71s. I wouldn't expect Hassan to be able to close that gap, but it is still early stages in this 10,000 metres.
I do agree, though. I think if there's Gide in the middle. She's having a conversation with her teammate there, looking over her shoulder, just deciding who is going to take that on. They're still talking. Gide in a roundabout fifth or sixth. We'll come back to this momentarily, back to this fascinating hammer final.
Third round of the men's hammer throw. Nowitzki had the lead briefly to relinquish it to Fidek and to Ivan Henriksson, but that looked like a great third round effort from the Olympic champion. Nowitzki doesn't give much away on his emotion, but look at that, into the lead, 81 metres and 3 centimetres. Nowitzki, Henriksson and Fidek, that was our order in Tokyo last summer. We've got another 3 full rounds to go. Nowitzki just getting that third round underway in the men's hammer throw final, as the women do nearly as many turns as we're going to see from those men. 25 circuits of the track for this 10,000 metres. Hassan, the reigning champion, she's looking to defend her champion. That's only been a championships. It's only been achieved by Chironesh Dibaba and Vivian Cherier. A special title to try and win back to back. Pretty much no change down there with Japan's Hironaka doing a great job pacemaking the rest of the field. Just hitting those 73, 74 second laps. Everybody just staying patient and biding their time. A few laps to go till halfway. These athletes will have a plan. They will have discussed this with their coaches, with their team managers. Will we see those 3 Ethiopians compete as a team? Will they make a big, strong bid to push their athletes up into the medal zone?
Well, it's Taye on the shoulder of Eletesonbet10ሺ. She's the one that's been having the conversations with Gide. And remember, Taye thrashed Eletesonbet10ሺ when she ran that 14:12. So Gide knows, even from her teammates, that she can't afford to leave this late. Hironaka's doing a solid job with the pacemaking, but if Gide is going to split this field, and if she's feeling good, she's got to hit the front, you would think. somewhere around about the midsection of this race. Not too many gaps here. It looks like it's Dominic Scott and Jess Judd just at the back of the group. Maybe just the merest hint of a gap between the first five and Elettesenbet10ሺ, who is in 6th place. And Guide looks over her shoulder for Tay once again. And this time, her younger teammate begins to respond. And let's not forget, I know we're talking a lot about Elettesenbet10ሺ and Sifan Hassan. Let's not forget that Helen Obiri is in this race. What a magnificent run she produced in Aarhus in Denmark to take the World Cross Country title. And I think, if I remember rightly, in so doing, she became the first woman to win titles on every surface. World titles on every surface. An incredible record for somebody who's been around a long time, but can she do it over 10,000 metres? What sort of form has Sifan Hassan got? We still don't have an answer. She's 2/3 of the way back down the field, not interested in what's going on at the front whatsoever. But Helen Obiri is. She's in 3rd, just behind, or 4th now, as the Kazakhstan athlete, Chip Karui, comes past her. Obiri just looking comfortable on the inside as they edge towards the halfway stage.
Say Kip Karui was having quite a quiet race there, just pulling herself up alongside Eilish McColgan ahead of Helen Obiri, who was asked, do you still have the speed that you used to have? You've been on the road, you've been doing that training. And she said yes, she closed the Kenyan Championships in a 60 at altitude. She said she could close in a 59 or 60 here today. That was her claim, which would be very handy if she's in the right place in the race. But Helen Obiri, so accomplished all the way from 1,500 metres up to half marathon now. Just letting Kip Karui glide past her into 3rd place. And Teresa Schweitzer of the USA, could she get another US medal? They've got great history in this event. Cara Goucher picking up a medal in 07. Shalane Flanagan in 08, and Infeld with that desperate dive to the finish ahead of her teammate Molly Huddle to take the bronze medal in Beijing.
I still shudder when I think about Huddle putting her arms up and Infeld suddenly and somehow finding a gap through on the inside as we watch Elettesenbet10ሺ, who's looking comfortable at the moment in around about 7th or 8th. We've got Dan O'Brien down on the infield. He was very much looking forward to the 110 hurdles. Dan, you guys climbed a mountain when you did the 1,500. I think the 10,000 would have been a bridge too far, even for a man of your talents.
Well, I think it's the number on the board. As you come around, you see 24, 23, 22. It's just too many laps. But, you know, I think what makes distance running and track and field here in what they call Track 10 USA really a difference maker in the United States is the fans here are so knowledgeable. You see the runners going around. Every time they hit the straightaway and the back straight, they are just cheering them all the way around. But, you know, let me take you guys back in history just a little bit. Let's go clear back to 1982, and we'll talk about somebody very historic, we know from World Championships even, but taking a break from her sensational international tour. Mary Decker Slaney returned home here to Eugene, Oregon, where she called her home, and less than 24 hours after arriving, she decided to enter a 10,000-meter race in an all-comers meet in Hayward Field. The old Hayward Field, wearing flats and treating the race like a training run. Decker ran 31:35 to take more than 40 seconds off the previous world record. And Mary Slaney, just a household name in these parts. But you talk about history in this stadium. Could be good history be made today.
Oh, great insight about a champion from a champion. Mary Decker Slaney. Great win for her all those years ago, and there is so much history. You can feel it when you're walking round here, and it says feel the glory. Well, we will do. Now, despite the fact that Hironaka was at the front for quite a long time, it's become bunched. We've lost Dominic Scott and one of the Ugandans. Eilish McColgan now leading, but this feels, now that we're into the second half of the race, someone's got to make a move. This feels like an uncomfortable position from which to lead, doesn't it, Hannah? Because it's not as if at the moment she's only got 5 or 6 hanging on. This feels like she's leading, but with 3/4 of the field queuing up behind her.
Eilish took a great guns-to-tape victory at Hengelo with that 30-19, but she was on her own, and you're right, Rob. The pressure, the anxiety, everyone was waiting for someone to attack, and you've got to defend that position over and over again. It can be incredibly mentally draining. It's a lovely, still, cool, perfect distance running morning, but that pressure of having the likes of Helen Obiri, Taye, Gide, never mind Sifan Hassan, still content to sit at the back of the field, has got to be playing on Eilish's mind. For me, Helen Obiri made a bit of a move, and that almost woke up Eilish McColgan. It's like she was waiting for one of the big names to try and make an attack, and that almost launched Eilish McColgan to the front of the field. I don't know if she was quite ready to be there yet. They went through halfway in 15-19, which is a great pace. Eilish McColgan just continuing almost the same pace that we saw from Hironaka, maybe a shade faster. This pace will start to tell, the fatigue will start to settle in, and at some stage this field will fragment, but at the moment, as you said, Rob, Eilish is just acting like a pacemaker for a really high quality field that are queuing up behind her.
Obiri on her shoulder. Now Obiri knows what it takes to become a global champion over 5,000 metres, but thus far in her career she has failed to win a 10,000 metre global medal. 5th in Doha, 4th in Tokyo. She's in 2nd place, but yeah, it's this group, this is big. This, at the moment, this isn't quite panning out as Eilish McColgan would have predicted. I wonder if she would have been better off, bearing in mind these conditions are cool, and look, it must be so difficult to be this bold when you've got a field of this quality. I wonder if she would have been better off going out at the type of pace she produced in Hengelo right from the very beginning, and at least forcing everyone to answer some very difficult questions, because the longer this goes on, with that big group behind her, the harder it's going to be for the leader, and the more it plays into the hands of those who are saving themselves for the big wind-up into the finish.
In the 3rd round of the men's hammer throw, this is the reigning champion, Pavel Fidek, roaring the hammer down the field, and that's a great mark there. Getting up towards the championship record, the lead is with his teammate Nowitzki at 81 and 3 centimetres at the moment. Has Pavel Fidek added anything to that? Well, it's the world lead. 81 metres and 98. That is enough for the gold medal position at the moment by nearly a metre over his teammate Nowitzki.
Fidek leading in the men's hammer. Great Britain's Eilish McColgan leading in this 10,000 metres, but this is a massive, massive pack of athletes alongside her. Taye and Gide in 2nd and 3rd, and you know, we're talking about Elettesenbet and Helen Obiri and Sifan Hassan. Egegu Taye could win this title. She was so good when she ran that 14-12 earlier this season, and she looks very, very comfortable here. The other Ethiopian, Mulati, coming up into that big group. Schweitzer running wide on the outside, and this now becomes a very, very different kind of race. They're coming round now with 2 of the 6 miles left to run, and this is a very big group. Gide has at last hit the front, but how hard is she going to run? And how much longer is she going to leave it before she tries to wind this up?
I'm almost relieved that move has happened from Gide. I knew it was going to happen at some point. You could see there's some pushing and shoving going on as everyone reacted, because Gide is one of the big hitters in this field, and everyone would have been waiting for that, and it's happened. Eilish McColgan swallowed up in that group at the moment, our long-time leader. Can she rally and stay involved? She struggled running in a big pack in Tokyo, so I thought we might see her try and spread it out, and she did have a go, but it wasn't successful. Taye and Gide in control of this field at the moment. Helen Obiri covered every move. Carissa Schweitzer, she moved very quickly. As soon as she saw the danger approach, the American athlete sat around about 5th or 6th at the moment. She was really switched on. Went, okay, got to get on that. That's a big race-defining move. There's a big group of 5 there. Helen Obiri running super wide. You want to be out there in lane 2 when the kick really starts. You don't want to give anything away to your team, to your competitors in terms of distance. Taye takes over from her teammate. Maybe this is what they were discussing in those middle kilometres. Gide saying, give me some space. Let me hold this inside lane. 71, that's the fastest lap we've seen in the race.
This is what Elettesenbet needs to do if she is to upgrade an Olympic bronze and a world silver into a gold. Hassan is still in that group, just towards the back. Running now just in front of Eilish McColgan, who's out of picture. But it's Taye leading. Gide now on the inside, with Helena Beery on the shoulder of the two Ethiopians. Kip Karui is the Kenyan who represents Kazakhstan, and Kip Kemboy, silver medalist 3 years ago in Doha. She's still very much in the mix, but this injection of pace has at least begun to whittle down this group. But they're coming round now, and there's at least 10 women still bunched together in that group. Eilish McColgan desperately trying to hang on. And Sifan Hassan is in that group, as is Schweitzer. Surely though, Elettesenbet has got to make a really big move here, because we know she just can't sprint with the others towards the very end. And this is where the likes of Schweitzer, if she can hang on to this group, maybe the fact that she can cover 1500 in 4 minutes, give or take a couple of tenths of a second, could play into her hands.
These next 2 laps are going to be really crucial. It's almost like Gide's got a bodyguard in Taye, a wing person just on her shoulder there, pushing the likes of Helena Beery wide. If anyone's going to attack Gide, Taye's going to have a really good go at holding them off. You can see Gide just wagging her finger to the inside. Kazakhstan's Kip Karui maybe just clipping her heels a little bit. Kip Karui having a great race, sticking to her task in 3rd place at the moment. Helena Beery has looked poised to strike for around about 3 or 4 laps now, but this is crunch time. Sifan Hassan, she's there. She's at the end of the back of the group. She's not done anything yet, but see just there, she can see there's a potential danger. She gets stuck behind Schweizer, and that group, that back gap opens up to the group, and she loses them. That can be problematic. So Sifan Hassan, the reigning champion, making positive but quiet moves at the back of the group.
Gide just had a little look round there just to see where everybody was. Taye though, I just wonder whether this 22-year-old could seize the moment and the opportunity and join an illustrious list of women to have won this title, including the mercurial Tirunesh Tababa, the only woman thus far to successfully defend this crown, winning in 2005 and 2007. And the Ethiopians in the crowd are beginning to get excited. There are 3 of them still in this group, but Sifan Hassan is still there, and so too are both of the Kenyans. It's not just Helena Beery, Margaret Kipkemboi just behind her teammate. Hassan is in touch with this group, and the other Ethiopian still very much in this as well. 6th fastest in the world this year, Mulati. 4 laps to go. Ethiopia 1 and 2, Kenya 3 and 4. They're coming round now to begin to lap 1 or 2 of the athletes. Daniel of Eritrea is having a fantastic race, just about staying with this. Schwarzer is at the very back of that group. We've got a little bunch of 5 and then 4 who are running in single file. So we're now down to less than 10, still in contention for this 10,000 metre title.
If I was a Beery, Gide or Taye, I couldn't be doing it because this is too fast. But if I'd drop the hammer now. Sifan Hassan is at the back of the group. If you go now, you're going to get that crucial 20, 30 metres on her without her even realising she could be caught up in traffic. They're lapping runners. It's getting busy down there. Helena Beery tried to make a move and it was neutralised by Gide and Taye. They swung round her and got into control again, but I don't think they're going any faster than the 71s we saw when they overtook Eilish McColgan a few laps ago. They've really got to get moving very soon if they want to run the sting out of Sifan Hassan. 3:59 she ran in the closing 1500 metres to take the title in Doha. If they leave it any longer, you think the Dutch woman's got more and more of a chance of defending that title. Just less than 3 laps to go.
surely Elettesenbet10ሺ, if she's got anything in the tank, she needs to start thinking about a big wind-up. Iberi would desperately love to win a medal, if not the title, over 10,000 metres. The defending champion, Sifan Hassan, is still in touch in that group in around about 5th or 6th. Another athlete about to be lapped. Taye, though, looks so composed. Her body language indicates she's still comfortable. Gide just about somehow finding a gap, or does she? Through on the inside. Iberi is the first of the two Kenyans. Kipkemboi just ever such a slightly taller figure. And Malati, the third Ethiopian, still in that group. What kind of sprint can Sifan Hassan find in this race? What kind of form is she in? She just goes past the lap runner. The Eritrean will be spat out the back of that group. Oh, this is starting to get so exciting. The Ethiopian flags just in front of me above the finish line are beginning to really wave and get interested here. 3 Ethiopians still in that group. Schweitzer hanging on at the back, the crowd on the far straight getting excited about the presence of the American. We are witnessing some of the all-time great female 10,000 metre runners. Elettesenbet10ሺ is the world record holder. Twice she's been on the podium in the last 2 global editions of 10,000 metre races. Silver in Doha, bronze in Tokyo. Both times it was Hassan who took the title. What can the Dutchwoman produce here? Because we have around about 550 metres to go.
This is getting super tense. The previous lap was 70 seconds. That was the fastest we've seen. Helen Iberi claimed she could drop a sub 60, and she's getting herself in position to do just that. Gide lifts her pace ever so slightly, but could Sifan Hassan, all the trouble she's had this year, a long recovery mentally and physically from the Olympic Games, followed by a calf strain, it's all to fight for as they hit the mark. Gide from Iberi.
Inside the last 400 metres in the women's 10,000, Elettesenbet10ሺ striking out for glory, but Hassan is tracking the leading quartet. The noise is huge down the back straight. Gide, Batain's on her shoulder. Remember, the youngster beat Elettesenbet10ሺ over 5,000 metres. Kipkemboi trying to stay with the pace, and Hassan is winding up for a big finish. What a title defence this will be for Sifan Hassan. She's done nothing all season, and she's coming up onto the shoulder of Gide. Iberi comes through and blocks Taye on the inside. What a battle! Who's got the heart? Who's got the belief? Who's got the drive and the acceleration? One of the great 10,000 metre races. Gide, desperate for the win. Is it going to be her turn? She looks over her shoulder. Iberi's closing. She drifts out. Elettesenbet10ሺ, by the narrowest of margins, turns silver from Doha into gold here in Eugene. Helen Iberi tried to come wide on the outside, and at last, the world record holder becomes the world champion. My goodness me, it was close. It was anyone's race from the top 4 coming down the home straight. So many times she's been outkicked, but not today. She reigns supreme here, and this is the track where you feel the glory, and Elettesenbet10ሺ does. At last, she's a global champion over 10,000 metres.
Elettesenbet10ሺ was so patient throughout that race. Great run as well from Taye, her teammate. Out of the medals in the closing stages, but Gide, there was a lot going on, and I was confused. Why wasn't she trying to make a medal-winning move? And that to me says she's been sitting at home doing her speed work, because we knew she had the strength. She's so phenomenal over half marathon. She's got that world record in the 10,000 metres of the track. But Gide just trusted in her sprint finish there, and she outkicked some phenomenal kickers. What a turn up for Helen Iberi, picking up her first 10,000 metre global medal. Walked away from the track supposedly after being out of the medals in Tokyo last year. Said, I'm done with the track, I'm retiring from that. There she is, back from retirement, picking up a silver medal. But it is Gide's day, and that was a phenomenally well executed race.
Wow. Elettesenbet needed every bit of concentration there, because when we see the replay, you'll notice she looks over her right shoulder and sees that Abiri is closing her down, and she just ever so slightly drifted out towards the edge of the outer element of lane 2 and pushed Abiri towards lane 3. It was so close, less than a tenth of a second in it. Kip Kenboy did really well for the bronze, and this time Hassan was run out of the medals. Perhaps the fact that she started her season so late has given her problems. I'm so pleased for Elettesenbet because she's got incredible heart and has set some amazing records, but so often she's been brave and bold, and other great sprinters have denied her the medal. Watch the glance. She sees Abiri closing. There's ever such a slight drift out towards lane 2. You can't really see it from that angle. She just about hung on. What a brilliant finish. That was incredible. Kip Kenboy got a PB for the bronze, and Hassan, having done nothing all season, still came out and ran 30 minutes and 10 seconds. That was one of the most entertaining finishes to a 10,000 metres I have ever seen, because you didn't know right down until the last stride who was going to take the title.
Best sprint finish I have ever seen of Elettesenbet. You can see her able to do that. She made a big move with 1k to go in Doha and came unstuck. Got beaten by Sifan Hassan, had to settle for the silver medal last time round, and I'm sure that was playing on her mind here today in Eugene. Elettesenbet, patient, perfect execution of her closing 150 within 25 laps. You know, it's fine, it will all sort itself out, but you've still got to nail your tactics and the measure of your effort in the closing stages. And great to see the first instant medal presentation. This is going to happen. The organisers really keen for the athletes to do their lap of honour wearing their medal, and they've managed to successfully lasso those medals around our top 3 across the line in this women's 10,000 metres, so they can get shown off to the crowd as they go around.
Oh, what a race. That was absolutely brilliant. You were waiting for Hassan to come. She did. And perhaps if her season had started with a few less issues, then coming up wide on the outside with 120 to go, she would have taken the title. But you can only beat who's there on the day, and you take it on face value. It was an absolutely stacked field, and this time at last it was Elettesenbet's turn for the win. You know, I remember Hannah watching her win back-to-back World Junior Cross-Country titles, which is so hard to do. You've got to be so young to have 2 cracks at that. And I remember thinking at the time, if she doesn't get injured, she is going to be a major player on the distance running scene. What a race, and what a way to turn silver from Doha into gold here in Eugene. Elettesenbet is the champion of the world. Helen Abiri at last on the podium in a 10,000 silver. Kip Kenboy a PB for the bronze. Hassan, the defending champion, just run out of it. But what a last 150 metres. PBs and national records all over the place. Daniel for Eritrea, Kip Karui for Kazakhstan, and a PB for Schweizer, coming home inside the top 10, just ahead of Eilish McColgan of Great Britain, who did so much of the pacemaking duties early on. Stella Chesang with a national record for Uganda in 14th. Natoya Rogers with a PB for the States in 15th. What a race. Women's 10,000 metres. The men's is tomorrow. This year's World Championship is already delivering fantastic drama, and we're only a day and a half in.